The second player for MVP. Starting now at the top of Metropolis in the red color. The Zerg player is facing his Protoss opponent. We have for MVP.
MVP Monster!
And he chose a really, not really weird map, but a map that lately has been favored by Protoss players in this matchup. His opponent at the bottom is, once again, we have in the blue colors for FXOpen.
FXO Choya!
Choya.
And Metropolis is a map where, as a Protoss player, you can get this very early expansion. I think it's even better than Shikura's Plateau, to tell you the truth.
We've got these really cool destructible rocks that allow you to wall off fully if you want to, and then you can destroy the rocks to move out later. The choke point is narrow. There is a pretty easy to take third base as well for Protosses, much easier than on maps like Dual Sight or Crossfire, for example. And even easier than a map like Belshire Beach. It's just a really good map for Protoss in general. It's Nada! He's wearing his new MVP jacket. It's good to see him coming here to support his new team. Of course, he joined Complexity, not MVP, but because there is a partnership, he's wearing the MVP jacket. I wonder if that girl that was with him was his girlfriend or something. She was also wearing the jacket. Looks like we're going to see a Nexus first from Choya. I really like this.
Kind of a standard pull by his opponent, by Monster, so he seems to go for a Gas-Lex expand. No surprise there.
I'm so excited today, Keldor. I just feel like I have so much energy, man. This match is so intense.
Yeah, today it's just going to be great. We have seen a lot of team matches so far that have been kind of one-sided, even though we had some matches where I actually thought that they would go over like at least 7 or 9 games. But this time we have MVP and FXOpen, and both these teams are so packed with great players. And so far the Clan War people still don't like me calling it a Clan War. It's just still the Warcraft 3 background that is still getting me. So, well, the team match has been really exciting so far, and I expect that we are going to see another couple of great matches, and Choya against Monster is definitely going to be one of them.
Well, you know, Keldor, going back to the Clan War thing, most great teams begin as clans.
Okay, so what you're saying is that I'm just old school?
No, I mean, yeah, exactly. I mean, actually, I think it's totally fine for you to call it that. That is indeed one way of putting it here. We did see the probe get in the main. He sees no gas, which is going to tip him off. Okay, going to be a fast third base.
And he's already trying his wall off.
Ooh, a really fast gas at the natural for Choya. He actually took the gas at his natural when his Nexus finished rather than taking the second gas in his main base. This may be to try to throw off the Overlord, trick him a little bit.
Definitely. So if you only send in one Overlord and you scout the main base, the Overlord will be killed by a sentry, by a Stalker, and then you don't have any idea if there's actually a second gas at the expansion.
In this case, the Overlord's going to come and he's going to see gas natural, may make him think, oh wow, 3 gases really quickly, but it's actually just 2. So kind of a tricky move there by Choya. He transferred a lot of his probes, in fact, to the natural. You know, Maynarding is something that people have been doing at different times in StarCraft 2. Most people have been just doing the maximum saturation, then sending long distance from the main to the natural, but some people still prefer to Maynard all their probes to the natural, so it's kind of a point of preference at this point.
We have the third base now for Monster. No surprise here, he was already starting to attack his rocks right after the Zerglings popped out, so that's the obvious move, trying to get the third because you know that your opponent is on 2 bases. But I'm pretty surprised. I want to see what Choya is going to do now. Is he going for the gateway attack that we've seen? Is he going to build a robotics bay in order to build a couple of Immortals and the Warp Prison that plays such a huge role in this timing push?
Yeah, like we saw Killer do the other day.
Yeah.
That type of build. And I'm really curious as well, Keldor. He is getting +1 very quickly here, and he is sticking with just the 2 gases. He has sent 2 Zealots forward to take the towers. He is going to be able to scout that third base using the Zealots if he chooses to. By the looks of things, he's waiting for the Zealots to go together just to make sure that he can fight off the Zerglings. The Zergling count right now very low at just 6.
And 2 gas is not going to be enough if you actually want to add the Immortals, the Warp Prism. You need a lot of sentries. We've seen Killer and a couple of other Protoss players attack with up to 10 sentries with this particular timing attack. Here comes the robotics, and he is adding another 2 gas right away, so that will finally put him up on 4 gas. And will enable him to get enough gas to get this army composition we've been talking about.
This type of play from Choya really suits his style, more so than it suits a player like Killer's. I think when Killer was trying to do this build in Code A, of course it worked out in some cases for him, but I feel like this is really Choya's type of style. Choya will execute this really well. He's a guy who loves to sit down and practice a build specifically over and over again. He used to be called like the king of all-ins because he had mastered each Protoss all-in when he was doing so much work for the team that he didn't even have time to practice. But now he's got so much more time to practice recently, and I'm really curious to see how he's going to pull this one off. +1 armor is on the way, as is often the case with this push.
Speed has been started for the Zerg player, and we have the lair tech. The Roachborn just finished. He builds a couple of Zerglings to be able to kill those Zealots. +1 is done, as Wolf just said, so the Zealots will be able to two-hit a Zergling. The Queen is taking part in the fight, though, and Monster must be feeling really confident against this gateway attack. He chose this map, so he knows perfectly well what's going to happen. He takes down the Zealots. He's losing a lot of Zerglings, though. And at the same time, I really want to see what Monster is going to do when Shoya finally attacks.
Oh my god.
Wow, there are all the gateways. He's building 6 of them, and the Immortals as well.
Now, there is done. There's an evolution chamber, so we're going to see Roach speed started as soon as that finishes up here. Counter, this is going to be such a strong attack. I like the pressure that Choya put on. He forced a lot of Zerglings that didn't really have much use except killing the Zealots. Zergling speed finishes now, but he still has no idea about the robotics. He has no idea. He knows something's being chronoed up there. You can kind of see that chrono, but he doesn't know what it is.
We have Borrow. I like his decision to get Borrow right after the lair tech finished. He's adding 8 additional drones, though I'm not quite sure if I agree with this decision, as he's already at 64.
I love this play by Choya, man. He's hiding the Immortals. He's not showing them. He's getting 2 Immortals before Prism. We saw Killer.
Prism.
Yeah, we saw Killer go Prism before Immortal and try to do that cute harass with like 3 Zealots and a Stalker. That really shows off the idea, shows off the tech. I like the hiding much better.
I want to know what Monster is doing right now. I want to see this attack. This is exactly the attack that we've seen countless times on Metropolis. Protoss players have been executing these attacks over and over again against Zerg.
And he is hiding the Prism so well. He's hiding it so well right now, Kaldor.
But Monster has to know what's coming. He has to know what's coming. So is he able to deal with it? Is he able to force those force fields at a position where he can actually circumvent them? Or is Choya just taking this game now?
Well, there are several cannon series wasting his Zerglings before the Roaches arrive. He can actually warp in a few units to buy some time back at home. Oh man, this is going to be a lot of wasted units for Monster. Choya looking like all he needs to do is warp in a few units here. It looks like he's going to drop his Immortals off.
But he will lose a round of warp-ins. He will lose a round of warp-ins. The cannons are gone. He's targeting down the forge now. And here we have the first set of Roaches dodging the force field. So far, job well done. Retreating, only losing 1-2 Roaches. That's all he lost.
He actually used the warp-in with his Prism. He's not actually warping in units at home. His Observer is not yet joined with the army, and Burrow is done, but it's almost here. Good force fields again, and the Immortal should be enough to hold back at home.
He was not able to cut off any of his opponent's units, so very well done by Monster. He's forcing force fields over and over again, but he is not able to cut off forces from Monster, and therefore the force fields are completely in vain.
But still, the composition right now, Kaldor is so good. It's 1-1 against just +1. He's got these 2 Immortals. This time he traps some Roaches.
Needs to build more units, 150 supply against 125, and slowly but steadily the energy for the sentries is gone. Will MVP Monster be able to capitalize on it? Here he comes in, the force fields are gone. We have the 2 Immortals in the back from 2 sides. The Protoss player is being attacked now. Choya with a little bit of a problem. The Immortal, one of them gets sniped, and now 12 additional Roaches are being built. Choya, is he able to pull through?
I don't think so, Kaldor. The spines from the south did way too much damage at the bottom of that ramp. He is going to push these forces back with another round of Roaches with all the spines he has at the 3rd. I think he's done it. I think he has managed to hold this.
But very well played by Monster. I really love how he used his Roaches to bait the force fields. And Choya had a problem. He didn't capture any of them. Usually you try to cut off a small portion of your opponent's units, but still Monster is not out of it just now. He still has to be very careful that Choya is not getting in a position where he can force field the ramp, and here we go again.
Yeah, he's actually been able to get more energy on these sentries. A nice flank with the Zerglings, but the Immortals actually need to be targeting Roaches. There they go. And it looks like actually Choya may yet have a chance.
This time the force fields were way better. He was able to kill a lot, and we will see the force field on the ramp in just a few seconds. Here comes our Zerg player once again. Monster is trying to use the Zerglings as well, but wow, so many units still for Choya. But the Immortal is about to die. The Queens are now charging in, and they need to kill the War Prism. He needs to kill the War Prism now.
It's taking some damage. He's not targeting it. It's down to 40 shields, but Kaldor The Stalker count growing again. The Queens go down. The Warp Prism at 80 hit points.
Monster with a huge mistake. He didn't target down the Warp Prism, so another set of Warp-ins is possible. But there's so many roaches, he might just be able to pull it off.
I think you're right. He's dancing the roaches. GG! He holds the push.
Wow.
Unbelievable hold.
Monster just playing so well there. And he definitely had Choya's number. He knew perfectly well what the Protoss player would do. It's the bread and butter build on Metropolis right now, and he played so well. Choya with a couple of bunch force fields, and wow, MVP Monster takes down Choya, and therefore the lead for Team MVP.
What a monster indeed. You know, I wonder sometimes, he's given Nada the high five, but I wonder sometimes with the not targeting of the Warp Prism, it seems so easy. I feel like, you know, he didn't need to do it. I feel like actually he intentionally did not, and he wanted him to warp in more Stalkers. That way when he did eventually lose that fight, it would have been more units lost for Choya. He's like, alright, warp in a few more Stalkers because you don't have the production to actually kill me here. I barely have enough, and if you warp in more Stalkers, that's more units lost for you, and actually I'm just going to win here.
It just seems too easy to not do it, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, the Queens are already in position.
It's got to be intentional.
Exactly. They are already in position. They are in range. So the Warp Prism has so few hit points. The shields were gone. So it was just one right click.
Yeah.
And then it would have been gone. So
I feel like he knew, with the spines there and the amount of Zerglings he had and the amount of production he had, I think once he had those spines in position, that first fight on the ramp where Choya was flanked, the key was not the roaches that were flanking, but the spines just did so much damage. Yeah. They took out so many sentries, and Choya just hit that one bad engagement. And his first force fields, like you mentioned, continuously just did not quite trap the roaches.
But the second ones, the ones at the small gap where the rocks still went, I was really worried for Monster there, because Choya was able to cut off a huge chunk of roaches, killed all of them, and suddenly he was also in a position where he could have just force fielded the ramp. He didn't do so. There wasn't really a need because there weren't that many units produced at the main base, but still, that the set of force fields, those 3 force fields were really, really great, and at that point I thought Choya might just win after all.
Yeah, I was thinking the same, man. Well, let's see who FXOpen will send out next. To be perfectly honest, I think... Leenock. This is not who I expected, but it is going to be Leenock.
Not at all. I didn't expect a ZVZ.
A little bit of surprise there on the face of Monster.
And I don't blame them. I mean, seriously, did you expect the Zerg versus Zerg now?
No, I would not expect this choice. I was thinking they might send out Lucky, actually, in this case. Lucky has not always had the best CBZ, but it would be an unexpected choice. The thing about sending out Leenock here is if he faces a strong Terran, you might not be able to do it. But think about that, though, for a second. How many strong Terrans does MVP really have that can beat Leenock? Leenock is, if he wins this one, of course, who's he going to face next? If it's a Protoss, Leenock should be absolutely fine. I don't know. In some ways, this choice is surprising, but now that I think about it more, it really does make sense.
We'll see if he's able. First of all, he has to win the ZVZ, and that's, of course, always a little bit of a fragile matchup, even though I definitely would say that Leenock is the favorite player.
Yeah, I would say so as well. You can see his Team League win percentages have not been very good. You see he's lost a lot of games here, but I can't fault him. He's obviously a top player in the individual leagues, going all the way to the finals and then doing quite well at MLG.
Yeah, one could say. So Leenock is going to be up against Monster. This is going to be the 4th map in today's team match. And we have a 5-minute break, and then we'll be back, guys. So see you in a few. And we'll be back with the Zerg versus Zerg, Leenock against Monster.
Still floating, I'm waiting, standing.